And to her shock, there are two people sitting there on that shelf, one at the head and one at the foot. It's interesting to me that the Ark of the Covenant in the Old Testament had two angels, two cherubim, who sat at both ends of the mercy seat, looking for Jesus. Welcome to Bible Study Hub. I'm Ann Wiggins. Let's get rolling as we go back to John chapter 20 as we cover the whole Gospel of John. Today we'll be in chapter 20, verses 11 to 18, and I'll be reading from the Legacy Standard Bible as always. So here we go. John 20, 11 to 18 says this. But Mary was standing outside the tomb crying. And so, as she was crying, she stooped to look into the tomb. And she saw two angels in white sitting, one at the head and one at the feet, where the body of Jesus had been lying. And they said to her, "Woman, why are you crying?" She said to them, "Because they have taken away my Lord, and I do not know where they have laid him." When she had said this, she turned around and saw Jesus standing there and did not know that it was Jesus. Jesus said to her, "Woman, why are you crying? Whom are you seeking?" Thinking him to be the gardener, she said to him, "Sir, if you have carried him away, tell me where you have laid him, and I will take him away." Jesus said to her, "Mary." She turned and said to him in Hebrew, "Rabboni," which means teacher. Jesus said to her, "Stop clinging to me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father, but go to my brothers and say to them, I ascend to my Father and your Father, and my God and your God." Mary Magdalene came announcing to the disciples, "I have seen the Lord," and that he had said these things to her. The word in the Greek for crying, describing what Mary was initially doing there, isn't the word for like a quiet, little tears streaming down your face sort of crying. This is full-blown sobbing. This is 2 days later from the crucifixion. Mary had already been utterly traumatized by what she had seen on Friday. And now here she is at the tomb, and horror of horrors to her, the stone has been moved and Jesus is no longer inside. And in this moment, she just absolutely loses it. She falls apart completely. This made me think about how someday we know that Jesus will wipe every tear from our eyes. When you know Jesus, it doesn't mean you don't have periods of extreme sorrow in this life. We've all had those moments when we've been so distraught we didn't even think we might be able to survive that type of deep-seated pain. But someday, the joy that Jesus will bring through his victory over death will decimate every moment of sadness we've ever experienced. The joy can't be compared. It's so superior to the sorrow. And Mary Magdalene is about to experience the single most exhilarating moment of her life right now, at this moment of the worst sorrow of her life. So she's just beside herself. She's wailing in pain emotionally. And at some point, she must have worked up the courage to look inside the tomb. Now, remember, there were strict laws regarding contact with dead bodies that would render you ritually unclean. So Mary knows that the second she steps into that tomb, she's going to be ritually defiled. But she does it anyway. And she just has to take a peek and see what on earth is going on. So she stoops down and she enters that dark, musty tomb. In this time, they buried people by placing their bodies, which would be wrapped in cloths, on a stone shelf. And that is where it would lie and decompose. And then much, much later, they would come back, take away whatever covered the entrance to that tomb, collect the bones off of the shelf, put them in a box, and then set it off to the side. And then later, whoever the next family member was who died would be buried in the same location. So you'd often have multiple people in the same tomb as the bones were boxed up and left in that location. So she's looking at the shelf where the body should be laid. And to her shock, there are two people sitting there on that shelf, one at the head and one at the foot. It's interesting to me that the Ark of the Covenant in the Old Testament had two angels, two cherubim, who sat at both ends of the mercy seat, which is kind of an interesting thing. Inside, God's presence would dwell. And we aren't sure about this, but there might be a parallel between that and what Mary Magdalene sees when she pokes her head into the tomb. Whereas the cherubim here are covering God's presence, the angels in the tomb are proclaiming and uncovering God's presence as being accessible to them, not hidden anymore. Well, Mary thinks Jesus is the gardener until Jesus calls Mary by name. Mary suddenly, all of a sudden, knows who this is, and she grabs onto him. And he instructs her to let him go. Never again will he be tortured and killed. His next big move is to ascend to heaven. So he tells her to let go because he's got things to do before he ascends. She must have been absolutely beside herself. I mean, I try to put myself in her shoes, and I think I would probably be wondering, is this a dream? Is this real? Things are coming up, my friends, from the ashes and mayhem of the crucifixion to the glory of the resurrection. We revel in this over and over. Praise Jesus that he did not stay in that tomb, but that he was risen from the dead. Well, you can only imagine how wonderful it was for Mary to find this out. But we'll find out later here this week that even though she goes back and she tells the disciples, some of them don't believe her. They're going to have to see it for themselves. Well, we'll pick up there tomorrow when we reconvene here for Bible Study Hub. For today, thank you for being with us. I so love being with you at 6 a.m. Monday through Friday. That's when our videos go live, Eastern Time. It's a good way just to kick off your day and get it off to a great start by taking a little time to focus on God and His Word. So until tomorrow, have a wonderful day, and Lord willing, I'll see you back here then.